Movie director Wim Wenders swears by them, as does actor Stefan Kurt. Former Chancellor Helmut Kohl can't do without one, and the Princess of Thailand had one flown in especially. They're handmade fountain pens from Hamburg, from designer Stefan Fink.
I had the idea to make a fountain pen that will last a very long time. Basically, I like making things that will last a very long time.
These top-class pens are shaped from exotic woods like grenadille, rosewood, or purple heart. Like champagne, they're then stored for 3 years at a constant temperature. From time to time, they need to be turned, or they could warp. All this has its price. Pens like these can cost 700 euros each or more.
The fountain pen is a queen in the hand. It's like a quill. Writing with a quill is the most beautiful writing experience. It's really fun. There's something haptic about it.
Fink's workshop is located in an arts and crafts center in Hamburg. This former tool-making factory is now a center for the production of exquisite handmade products. There are 13 studios on the 4 floors. Fink's neighbor, painter Michael Zazarin, has been there from the start.
Many artists live isolated lives in some basement flat or cellar, but people come here from time to time, and that's good.
Stefan Fink's wife also has a place in his workshop. She produces custom-made shoes. They are 2 individuals with a penchant for perfection. After being stored, sometimes for decades, the wood is cut to shape. The blank is turned by hand to give it its final form, its exacting work. Then the pen is dipped in a special hard oil. That makes it more robust. After that, Fink polishes it to a high gloss finish. He doesn't make more than 150 pens a year. Many of his customers have special wishes.
I once had a special request from a state's attorney. He wanted the thread to be longer. He wanted the feeling that he could take all the time he needed to get over his fine rhetorical points during court cases. So we made him a very long thread.
Fink has won numerous awards for his stylish work. The Munich Museum of Contemporary Art displays examples of his pens in well-secured glass cabinets. Fink started learning the art of turning wood when he was just 14. He always knew he would be a craftsman. Later, he studied industrial design. After that, he concentrated on developing his special fountain pen, which he says was a way for him to express himself.
I used to stutter badly. The craft of turnery led me to writing instruments, and there I found a way to express myself. And I delved deeper and deeper into the field. It's become a passion of mine.
After 12 hours at work, Stefan Fink looks forward to relaxing. In the bed he made himself. Karl-Heinz Polshofer and his new Vienna workshop. The company prides itself on custom-designed quality furniture. Its showroom extends over more than 1,000 square meters and houses a world of extravagance. The concept is to unite classic and modern interior design.
Our aim is to revive the philosophy of the old Vienna workshop, which ceased to exist in 1932. We make furniture, upholstered furniture, tables, chairs, and accessories for all kinds of rooms.
The idea of incorporating all aspects of human life into a unified work of art dates back to 1903 and to the founders of the historic Vienna workshop, Josef Hoffmann. Fritz Werndorfer, and Koloman Moser. They wanted to get away from the classicism of the 19th century and introduce simple, abstract geometric shapes in all areas of everyday living. They created clothing and jewelry in addition to architecture and interior design. But after World War I, the company had to declare bankruptcy. Today, its exclusive pieces are sought after by collectors and art dealers.
The variety was enormous. There's nothing like it anymore. No one company that produces this much. Their idea was to unify everything into a complete work of art. From cigarette boxes and matchboxes to tableware, cutlery, lamps, chandeliers, fabrics, carpet. They made everything.
That idea guides the New Vienna workshop today. The company makes its own furniture and works with internationally renowned top designers to ensure quality and excellence. The New Vienna workshop carries on in the tradition of its predecessor, aiming to turn homes into works of art.
You found a place in the sun, but you could come to regret it. Keeping a cool head is easier in the shade, and if there isn't any, there are always sunshades. Sunshades were always popular, but they've never been quite as trendy as they are now. They all used to look basically the same for decades. Knut Hornbogen is basking in the shade of a Camerarius, his biggest sales hit, which casts abstract patterns on the ground.
It feels nice, better than ordinary shade. I think design shade cools differently, just more pleasantly.
Knut Hornbogen called his firm Skia, the Greek word for shadow. He's been in the shade trade for a year now. Hornbogen sells sensational shade providers by German designers that are almost objects of art. The Camerarius model has already been awarded the American Good Design Prize and costs 1,700 euros.
The sunshade is an archetypical product. Every child could draw one right away. Of course, we don't want to make sunshades, we want to make shade providers. But on the other hand, we have to give people who see the objects the chance to perceive them as something that is more or less familiar.
A walking stick umbrella or parasol, the classic accessory that protected refined society for centuries. The portable roof was probably invented in Asia and became fashionable in 16th century Europe. When deep tans became a symbol of beauty, the parasol was out. But today, designers have rediscovered the value of shadows, like Cologne-based designer Anja Engelke.
Basically, shadows are an accidental product of nature, created by the sun and trees, or the environment that influence them. But basically, they're a plaything of nature, and an accidental product. But in some places, I've discovered that it would be lovely to capture them and make them available, to reproduce them and display them.
Anja Engelke has captured shadow plays and brought them into her apartment. She's turned the shadow plays into a film with a specially composed soundtrack that she hopes will be a DVD bestseller. At first, the business with shade was just a game to Knut Hornbogen, but now his 5-member firm delivers sunshades to private customers and public institutions across Europe.
We deal in shade, but it's not illegal. There's a tiny, subtle difference between shade businesses and shady businesses. Shady businesses are connected to the black market, while shade businesses aren't illegal.
The shade provider Yuri G, another of the Skia company's successful products, is reminiscent of a flying saucer. Air-filled, it costs 3,000 euros. named after former Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. It plays with lights at night.
Which qualities define British design? Unusual colours? Elegance? Understatement? Established & Sons has both established and up-and-coming British designers under contract to ensure the term British-made becomes a benchmark.
I think there are elements in design that you can always see as being British. I mean, I think we have there's a certain thing about British humour, and there's humorous elements in pieces. But I think now Britain itself is such a mixed cosmopolitan country, certainly in London, that so many influences from all over the world are mixed up in this one big kind of melting pot that it's very hard to define what is British.
Designer Mark Holmes decides which designers can become part of Established & Sons. Right now there are 10, and 2 more join each year.
I think we invest in personalities, we invest in different diverse design approaches. So the thing they have in common, we think, is a real hunger and ability to produce amazing new design, and that can be very individualistic and very particular to that particular person.
This chair, by the well-known designer duo Barbara Osgerby, is included in the Established & Sons collection. The company's mission is only to collect items that were conceived and made in Britain.
British manufacturing has in the past had a reputation of being rather backward-looking, a little bit behind the times in terms of its outlook. And I think what this has proved and has been exciting for us is that British manufacturing is open to new ideas, is excited about developing new technologies and working with people like us.
I think also it's very easy for everyone to say, well, you know, we have to shut down all manufacturing in Europe now. We're going to move to China because it's the only reasonable and realistic way to work. And it's just not true at all.
In 2006, Established & Sons presented its collection of 18 articles at the design fair in Milan. To be exhibited alongside famous names like Zaha Hadid is a great honour for the young designers.
It gives me something to strive for. If I know that the work that I see that they're doing with the company, then I know exactly what can be achieved and what should be achieved, and that gives me a goal to go for, basically.
Tamara Kaspersch markets the designer pieces worldwide. These typically British designs cost between 100 and 20,000 euros.
We also have a second tier to our collection, which is the limited edition products, and they're targeted at a collectors or international collectors market, and those pieces can range from 3,000 to 45,000, 50,000 pounds. So it's quite a wide spectrum that we're appealing to.
British made. Since the advent of Established & Sons, there's a new seal of approval for designer furniture that we're likely to see more of in the future.
The table known as Flight is the pièce de résistance of Francesco Passaniti's collection, and it's also his trademark. The concrete table with embedded fibre optic lights, which resemble landing lights, costs some 10,000 euros. The designer is making a new table in his studio in Paris. Everyone is unique, with a different arrangement of lights. It's the customer who decides exactly how the table should look.
The sort of people who buy a table like this tend to be fascinated by the play of lights in the concrete. I only make customized orders, so I've made tiny ones, and I've also made some that are huge.
Before he started designing with concrete, Francesco Passaniti worked as a bricklayer on a building site. 14 years ago, he realized that he could do a lot more with concrete than build houses.
I wanted to make something for people that no one else could make, and that's why I specialize in techniques that went further than those that masons normally use. Then I began by making concrete rooms, kitchens and bathrooms, which I created on site. Then I gradually moved on to making objects.
These days, Passaniti uses concrete for almost everything. Bathtubs, armchairs, sofas, benches and chairs, and even bookshelves, pictures and sculptures. His work is very popular because it's original, resistant, and thanks to its clever construction, no heavier than furniture made of wood or glass.
When I developed a system for making a very delicate layer of concrete, I even exaggerated the thickness to give the feeling of solid-looking furniture. And in fact, it weighs nothing. Just the weight of the structure that carries the layer of concrete. This stool, for example, is made of wood. What we have are pieces that look heavy and give the impression that you couldn't possibly move them. But this table doesn't weigh any more than an armchair.
Concrete furniture is an unusual idea, but Francesco Passaniti is happy to show anyone who can't picture it a few examples in his own apartment above his studio. Even the most skeptical customer is soon convinced that concrete furniture can look cozy.
It's not intrusive. There are certain elements in concrete, but I think that it's well balanced. That's why I have plywood flooring. It underlines the building's industrial character. And there's a hole in the middle, because otherwise the proportions would have been wrong. A complete table wouldn't have looked as good.
An unusual apartment and an unusual studio. In the 1920s, scientific history was written here.
This was once the laboratory of Frédéric Joliot-Curie, and it was where he split the very first atom. It's a very unusual place, and it's often been used for film shoots. Next month, the film production company will be putting up a huge staircase for one of the protagonists to fall down.
But before then, Francesco Passaniti will have to move out all his furniture. Fortunately, his concrete furniture weighs almost nothing. There's room for this summer must on the smallest balcony. The space-saving barbecue grill is called Bruce and can be hung on the balcony rail like a window box. And the Tekla tray is useful for anyone wanting to eat outdoors. When you put it down, it automatically turns into a tablecloth, designed to make life easier.
When I was working on my degree, I checked out some 40 balconies in Berlin. I rang people's doorbells, photographed their balconies, and carried out brief interviews. This is how I found out that people would like to have a barbecue on their balcony, but that barbecues really take up too much room. So I looked for a space-saving solution for the balcony, which you could call the smallest room in the apartment.
And the students didn't confine themselves to the balcony when designing practical products. Minding your P's and Q's at the dinner table does not guarantee an entertaining and sociable evening. The Behave Yourself series encourages enjoyable meal times.
The basic idea for the table actually came from the fact that 100 years ago or so, people didn't eat from their own plates. Not everyone had a plate or fork. The whole family ate from a big bowl. This was the basic idea. And then came the pig trough, or the animal trough, which gave rise to the phrase, "Don't eat like a pig."
Sit up straight. But why not put your legs up occasionally? With a flick of the wrist, the hard, straight chair becomes a comfortable, upholstered lounger, a practical way to relax. The Berlin exhibition, Flügge 2006, provides answers to the important and not so important questions of everyday life. Here, 18 graduates from product and fashion design present solutions for more practical living.
We began with Flügge 01 in 2001, and there's been a Flügge every year. It presents the diploma work that's been done during this academic year.
This is a lamp for the balcony. This is the lampshade, and it sticks to the window with a suction cup. Then the light fits into the lampshade underneath, and in the end, you have a light for the balcony that shines outside from inside, because most people don't have a socket on the balcony.
And this is how to enjoy summer in style. The graduates of the Industrial Design program have made it possible. After 5 years of hard work, they're leaving the university and breaking out into the world of opportunities. And who knows, we might soon find Bruce and their other ideas on store shelves. As it seems, there's no limit to their creativity.
Fair trade cotton in indigo. One of Tom Dixon's 2 new polo shirts for Lacoste. Dixon is best known as a furniture designer, but now he's trying his hand at fashion.
Because I always feel like I'm at my best when I'm actually quite naive, you know, when I'm fresh into something. I'm happier when I'm doing something I don't know anything about.
Tom Dixon's innovations have made him a leading figure in furniture design for 25 years now. In 2000, he was honored with an OBE from the Queen. He's created objects and interiors for star designers like Jean-Paul Gaultier and Vivienne Westwood. But Dixon's designs are hard to define. He's always on the move, always having new ideas.
I don't have a method. I mean, I was never trained as a designer, so I have no particular method. I'm usually more interested in how you make things than the final result. So my interest is more in the factory or in the material or in the equipment to make things rather than the final form or the final function.
Dixon's career began with a simple sketch, even if it doesn't look much like an award-winning idea. Tom Dixon's chair is now an icon of contemporary design, with a place in New York's Museum of Modern Art.
So if I say that I was drawing a chicken that looked something like this, yeah. And I thought, well, that could make quite a good chair where you could sit on this. And then it was really the most phenomenally ugly chair. So all I did was to join up to round off the tail and, make the leg like that. And this chicken chair became the S chair. So, not a particularly good design story for students or the rest of it. But that's the truth, is that chair is just a chicken.
Tom Dixon's talent has been used by many companies. He was appointed head of design by the UK division of the Habitat chain in 1998 and has recently turned this former cinema into a flagship store. In his mission to brighten up British living rooms, Dixon also tracks down the best European designers in various fields for the company.
The idea of working in many different typologies at affordable prices. So, some days you might be doing toys, some days you might be doing bathrooms or garden. And so all of these different jobs, a designer wouldn't have the chance normally to be involved in so many categories and so many areas.
Tom Dixon arrives for work in London at around 8:30 every morning. And because he's not very good with computers, he often relies on his team for help. They program his designs. Dixon is always looking for a new challenge.
I'm always looking for the next sensation, so I guess that always allows you to be more productive. So when I was teaching myself how to weld, for instance, in the first year, maybe I made 30, 40, 50 chairs, so all quite bad, but there's just that progression made me improve quite quickly. And so it's been very useful to me to be bored.
Tom Dixon's latest fashion statement.